In this presentation, we are going to look at random variables and probability distribution. So to start off, what we're going to do is consider the definition of a random variable. A random variable is a rule that assigns a numerical value to each possible outcome of an experiment. So a key thing there is numerical value. So quick example, let's suppose we are flipping a coin. The usual outcomes are heads and tails. But if we were to call a head 1 and assign to the outcome tail a 0, we could sort of say S equals 1 or 0. Sample space is 1 or 0, depending on heads or tails. So that's how we might do that there. Now, just a quick remark, actually. This is important. That's not even a quick remark. It's a very important distinction between two types of random variables. And this is very important to know down the line if your random variable is discrete or continuous. So we're going to look at first off the discrete ones, and then we're going to look at the continuous ones. So what is a discrete random variable? Well, in a nutshell, the first important thing is actually to recall is a random variable is discrete if the values it can take can assume integer values only. Integer values, for example, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Positive integer values actually would be more likely, but there's no rule against negative integer values for discrete random variables. So let's look at a few examples. Number of sales in a week in a shop, okay. Number of typing errors in a page. Number of telephone calls in an hour, you might get 2, 3, or 4. Or the number of customers waiting to be served in line in a coffee shop. A quick way to remember this is actually, I'll come back to this now in a second, is that we can sort of count all of the number of sales in a week. We can count the typing errors in the page and so on. So it's discrete random variables correspond to something we would count. Let's look at the other one here. It is a continuous random variable. A random variable is continuous if its values can assume all points in the number line. Now, I made this point earlier about discrete random variables being integer values. A continuous random variable can be any real number. So just to sort of draw your attention to the real number, the distinction between real numbers and integer numbers. Let's look at a few examples. Times between telephone calls to a helpline. Weight of a food item in a supermarket, lifetime of a machine component. So those are a few examples of continuous random variables.